This is the Cafe Racer Podcast, episode 63 for September 13th, 2014. I'm Steve.
I'm Crash.
That was pretty painless. I didn't screw it up.
Maybe next time I'll put share the screen to an image that is not me just sitting here during this song.
Yeah, we could always, if there was a way to put slideshows up where the song was playing, that'd be pretty cool too.
I probably could. I just have to do it myself, like play the slideshow on my other monitor or something.
Right. So how you been?
Pretty good. Things have been crazy. I think I'm competing for I'm definitely competing anyway for the busiest person in the world. Probably not winning yet, but
yeah, wait till that,
I don't know. I don't know what winning would feel like.
Wait till that things change around there, then it'll be.
Oh, I know. It's in February. There's going to be a whole nother bag of crazy in the house.
Right.
Whew.
I know that is.
I should be mostly done with school by then, though, so that won't be as bad.
Yeah. Just having my granddaughter here one night was kind of crazy. She's running around like a little maniac and everything.
How old is she again?
2.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Gareth is 3 next month, and then the new one in February. And I guess, unfortunately, I'll be done with my associates, and I'm going to slow down and not take as many classes at a time, and hopefully not be burning the candle at both ends quite as badly.
Yeah, I know. I've been considering going back to school and get my graduate degree in emergency management, but I think, I don't know. I'm still weighing it. I may or may not. I think I'm just a little bit old to be back in college, but we'll see. Anyway, she was over here the other night, and her big thing now is passing gas. She calls it tarding. Like she was, I tarded,
Nice.
And now when she does it, you go, AJ, who tarded? And she goes, not me. And she blames it on the dog or whoever's there. Daddy did it. It's pretty funny.
Nice.
So we're kind of enjoying that craziness going on.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's talk about Cafe Racers.
Yeah, I actually did motorcycle stuff, fun, non-commuting related motorcycle stuff this past week. It was
me too.
Kind of amazing. Good. So I guess I'll start. There's a place out here called Cerberus Motorcycles, and you may have actually heard of them at some point. I swear.
We've talked about them before.
Yeah, I know they've been around the internet a bit. They do custom bikes, and they've also got kind of a motorcycle co-op thing where you sort of pay into it, and then you get free time working on your bike, and you get discounts on parts and stuff like that. Anyway, Dave over there and I have been talking, for a while. He actually helped me kind of find a place to live out here, pointed me in the right direction as far as like areas, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw a couple weeks ago, it said he posted something on Facebook. I was like, yeah, Moto Monday went really well. And I was like, what's this Moto Monday thing? You must tell me about it. And I guess twice a month they do an event where the first one they get together and he does like a clinic, and then the second one is just a barbecue-friendly, social gathering. So this past week was the first for September, the first meetup for the September. So he did a clinic on basic maintenance. I guess the last one he did was a clinic on the pre-ride check, what to look for before you go riding, especially if you don't ride every day. And then this time was, how to change a chain, how to adjust your chain, stuff like that. And there was a few people there. Not, it wasn't a crowded shop, but there was, probably 5 or 6 people there. He had some chips and salsa, and we hung out and talked, and he showed people how to do some stuff. It was pretty cool.
Explain to me again how the co-op works. Now, you pay into that monthly, or is it each time you go?
I'm not exactly sure. I'd have to look it up again, but there's a couple of different ways you can do it. I know there's like a single time thing. If you just want to do it, you can pay him for like a one time. I'm going to use the bay for so many hours kind of thing. Or you can pay, I think it's like annually or every 6 months or something like that, some sort of time period where you you kind of like prepay, and then it's a cheaper amount for the the bay, and you basically for that time you're able to store stuff for that whole 6 months or the whole year. You can keep a bike there or whatever.
That I wish they had something like that here, just for the use of the lift, things like
Oh
that.
yeah, yeah.
I'll probably eventually end up buying one, just 'cause I find it so difficult to work on the bikes, sitting on the ground.
Yeah, I met a guy there. I'm terrible with names, and so if he's ever listening to this show, I apologize in advance. But there was a guy there who was working on an old CB550, and we were talking, and he sounded like he really knew what he was doing. Like he had a very good idea of what was going on and everything. Turns out it's his first bike. Like he's never actually ridden a motorcycle before, except for he just bought a Suzuki GS 500 that's just like a beater for him to be able to ride around while he works on his project bike.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's like, man, you really seem to have a handle on this. And he's like, yeah, well, Dave and the other guys that actually work here have been super helpful, and it was cool.
Yeah, and I keep kicking around this other project bike, and I don't want to get into something else without having a place to work on or a lift, and
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's just going to be one of these things where I'm going to break down and get the Harbor Freight one and just have it in the garage because, there isn't really any type of co-op that I've found here, and maybe in Miami, I don't know, but not up here in Palm Beach or not in Broward. Is this place serviced? Does Alicia have a relationship with him? Does she work there?
Not anymore. I think she's still involved somehow. Like maybe she did their website. She worked at their like front desk for a while, but she moved up to Ventura a few months ago, and so she doesn't work there anymore. But when I first moved down to San Diego, yeah, Alicia worked there.
Is that near L.A., Ventura?
It's on the other side of LA from me, so it's on the north side. I'm not super up on California geography, but I know it's on the other side.
Okay. Yeah, so I went to Thursday night. We had Vintage Iron Club had their monthly get-together on Clematis Street, and I swear the weather tracks our get-togethers because it rains every single time. So I just had gotten new tires put on the 10A, and I didn't want to take it in the rain, so I drove a truck over there, and quite a few people did. And there was a few people, maybe 4, that came on bikes, which a new friend of mine, actually, somebody I met that lives in Broward, she brought up a V7 Racer, a Guzzi, that's
nice.
I think she said it was a 2012 or a 2010, I can't remember. Really beautiful bike, and rode up in the rain, and we had a pretty good time. But 2011, she's actually watching and gave me that little piece of information. But it's the one with the black tank, and she's got aero pipes on it, and the bike's really neat. And that's always been one of my favorite bikes that Guzzi makes anyway, and I'd love to have one with a chrome tank on it. And I don't care. Everybody's, a Thruxton will trounce it. It's not why I'm getting it. That's not the whole reason, but I just think it's a really cool bike. So we kind of hung out there for a while and then split, but it just goes to show you that people, even when it's raining, they'll figure out a way to get to where they're going to go on a motorcycle and hang out with other motorcycle people. Today was the same thing. Again, another kind of a club meet at the Palm Beach Seafood Festival, and everyone was saying it was going to pour all day long. So I rode this time up there. It was a dry ride there. We had a really nice time. It rained a couple times when we were there, and then right when I was leaving, it opened up and poured. But we got a good turnout today, probably 10 guys on bikes. It was nice. Some really cool bikes. Our guy brought a 39 Indian with a sidecar on it. That was really
wow.
Cool. Yeah. And, the typical club member bikes, the Norton. And so we have a raffle bike there, and I was going to kind of talk about this a little bit, and I'll get into this more. Santiago Choppers, and for those of you who don't know, they were on the first season of Cafe Racer TV.
Yeah.
They built a really cool BMW, a 74 R90/6 that I'll throw some pictures up on the website of it. But this bike you can get tickets for. They're $20 and it goes to charity. So I'll post some more information and talk about it. And we're going to have the president of the club, Dan Newcomb, hopefully come on the next show to talk about the events that are coming up in the bike. But the bike's really pretty, really, really nice. I hope I win it, actually.
Yeah. I saw that thing. I mean, and if anybody out there watched the show, it was the Norton Harley mashup bike that was the Norley. that Santiago shoppers did. So I looked up
Amira just
the.
sent me she just
Go
sent a
ahead.
text on here. About the weather. She goes, I'm Canadian. Weather doesn't
Yeah.
bother me. People here hate anything except perfect weather. That's true, really. And there's a lot of people that won't ride unless it's perfect out and there's no sign of any clouds or anything. That's not
Yeah.
me. I don't
Well,
really care.
I can relate being a former Washington resident. You gotta ride if you don't ride in the rain in Washington, you're just not gonna ride ever.
Yeah, and I would have taken the bike the other night. It was just that the tires are new, and I was
Yeah.
just, I didn't even have 20 miles on them. They really weren't
Yeah.
scrubbed
That's
in at all. Yeah,
that's tricky. I probably would have driven too.
but it ran great today. After I took it out yesterday and went up to this little curvy road we have by an airport and tried to scrub them in pretty good, and man, the thing was good in the rain home. It was no problem. For all those people that gave me recommendations on tires, I ended up ordering the PR4s for the Stelvio, but for the 10A I got Shinko Verges. And I was considering putting the Pirellis or the Michelins on the 10A as well, but it kind of came down to the fact that that bike doesn't get ridden a whole lot, and I wanted to save a little bit of money. So, you know, for the price of what one tire would have cost on the Stelvio, I got two tires installed, and just a little shout out to Jupiter Cycles because they did a great job and matched price, and it was phenomenal. So that for people that are budget minded, and if they make a size for your bike, the Shinkos, they're not a bad tire. There's a couple in their lineup that I wouldn't recommend because it's kind of a square profile to begin with, but the Verges are great and they're inexpensive. So if you're not really thrashing the bike or hammering a lot and you don't put a lot of miles on it, it's kind of like my bike where it gets ridden on the weekends. It's a good selection. And I'm waiting to see the Michelin PR4s aren't in yet for the Stelvio, so I'm kind of hoping I can get those in soon so I can go back to commuting on the bike.
Yeah, that'd be good. I was actually uh, forced to commute all week on the bike. I mean, I do a lot anyway, but a friend of mine's borrowing my truck all week and next week, so I had to ride the bike every day this week, and I always remembered that, or I always seem to remember when I'm forced to ride the bike that riding the bike keeps me from stopping at drive-throughs on the way to or from work and eating crappy food.
Yeah, you ain't kidding. That's the God's honest truth, man. It's so easy when you're in a vehicle to just stop and pull up to that window and order crap.
Yeah, I mean, especially like you've got that 75-mile commute. I've got I'm on the road, especially if I'm on the way home. I'm on the road on the way home for 40 minutes. And I get off work at like 5:30, 6 o'clock. It's like, oh, it's dinner time. I'm hungry. And there's a
Right,
McDonald's on the way off base.
right. Well, it's the same thing. When I leave the station, there's a McDonald's there. I try not to eat there, but every once in a while I'll be like, I'll just get, a chicken sandwich or something. And it's just crap.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even,
Yep.
I don't even stop for coffee when I'm on the bike. It's usually if I'm in the truck, I'll stop at Dunkin' Donuts. I won't get anything but coffee, but on the bike, I just get on the bike, commute, and get there.
Yeah.
I've been going to the gym early in the morning too, so it's just easier not to have to put on a uniform. I'll just throw on workout clothes underneath my riding gear and then get there and shower at the gym when I'm done. Plus,
Yeah.
I like riding. It clears my head. I'm not as stressed out as I am in the truck. It's just yeah.
What's traffic like for you? I don't think I've ever asked you that. Like, do you get stuck in heavy traffic?
No, there's no traffic at all in the morning. Nothing. There's no one. I take the Florida Turnpike, and there's literally just a few vehicles. When I leave, depending on what time I leave, then it can get a little bit hairy, especially if it's raining. Then
Yeah.
I'll take my time getting home. But I'll still take. We have this main road that's in West Broward called the Sawgrass Expressway. It runs out parallel to the Everglades. And that you take the turnpike, jump on that thing, and then head south. And where my office is in the public safety building, it's right near there. But it just the drive home can get a little dicey sometimes with traffic. The ride to work is great. There's no one there, and I usually go before the sun comes up. So
Yeah.
another reason why I want to put better lights. We talked about the driving lights on that bike.
Yeah.
Gotta get something better.
The traffic for me, like, if I take the truck, it's probably an extra, especially if it's a bad morning. If I take the truck, it's an extra 20 or 30 minutes on the way to work, and same thing on the way home.
Really?
Yeah, because I can lane split on the bike.
Yeah, we don't have that here, and
Yeah,
I kind
so
of wish we did.
I'll get stuck, just sitting still on in the truck. Where on the bike I can, you can't lane split on base, and I get really angry when I see people doing it because like I only ever see people doing it when nobody's looking, but every time I think I want to do it, there are people looking. Like there's like base police are like right there. I'm like, dang it, I can't do it right now. But
Why?
I don't know. It's just a rule. There's a base policy that you can't lane split anywhere on base.
So it must be like a national federal thing then.
Maybe it might even be just a regional thing. It might be a Navy Region Southwest thing, or it might even be. Well, I think it's a Navy Region Southwest thing, but because nobody else has the problem. All the other Navy regions in the country don't have a state in them that allows lane splitting anyway.
Right, right. Yeah, I would really love that to be here in Florida, but they're just we talked about it, and like Abate I think kind of was gonna push it, but more every time you bring it up, there are people that come on and say, "Well, California's getting ready to get rid of it because it's so dangerous." And there's no substantiated information out there. They just post an opinion that says
Oh yeah.
the legislature in Florida won't do it. It's way too dangerous. Plus, we have a bunch of knuckleheads down here on bikes.
Oh, so do we. It's terrible.
I think we might have a guest on audio. Are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can
Yes,
hear you.
we can.
Right,
I'm a
cool.
little bit hoarse, so you'll have to excuse me. I'm sorry.
So should I get you a carrot then?
Oh no, a comedian.
Somehow I knew that was
resist
coming.
that
Yeah. So I'd like to introduce my friend Amira, and met her at the event on Clematis Street the other night, and she kind of knows a lot of people we know. She hangs out with our brothers from Old Soul Youngblood, the Rosals, and she knows Alex McKenzie with Metal 305, and she's kind of part of that scene down in the South Florida area, right?
Yeah, I live in Hollywood, which is about 20 minutes north of Miami, 20 minutes south of downtown Fort Lauderdale. So either direction is good for me, and I like riding, so I don't
Right.
care. Like nobody comes up to Hollywood, right?
So tell us about the bikes you have.
Um, I'm a pretty new rider. I started riding about, I don't know, maybe 6 years ago, but I had a break for about a year and a half when I was out of the country.
Hmm.
I have a 1972 Honda CB 450. It's a total Franken bike.
That's the bike in the picture for everybody that's watching the live video
That's it.
or
And
the recorded video even.
all the time that I've had it, it's been in the shop a fair amount of time. I did a bit of work on it. I'm not a very um, good mechanic, but I try to learn as much as I can. And so now it's getting its coating done inside of the tank
Hmm.
because it was spitting these giant boulders into my carburetor, and it was really bad. So I'm waiting for that. I'm looking for it's a kickstart only, so it's a job to ride the bike, but it's totally worth it. I love that bike.
That's cool. That's a commitment too, having a kickstart only bike. When you bought the bike, was it already kind of cafe'd out, or was it in its normal CB look?
Yeah, it was already a cafe racer. It was built by uh, Pablo Benavides. He's a tattoo artist down in Miami,
Uh-huh.
and he builds these bikes in his living room. Basically, it's just bizarre, And he builds these insane like sports bikes
Uh-huh.
as well. And I bought it off him, and it is a commitment, and there's a lot to do with it. It has to be tweaked endlessly, and there's a lot of good mechanics who have worked on it. At least I know some really good mechanics. So
So was this
um,
your first bike?
no, my first bike I bought in 2007 in Houston, Texas.
What
It,
was that?
it was a brand new Honda Shadow Aero,
Mm-hmm.
and I rode it all over the U.S. I used to work for Cirque du Soleil for 5 years.
Oh, cool.
I was on tour with them, and I toured just from city to city with the bike, which was a huge commitment, actually. So
No,
that was my
especially
first
for a
bike.
new rider too. That's amazing. Most people that start riding motorcycles don't really start that heavy-duty commute like that right off the bat. That's cool.
Yeah, I was warned by people on tour. There were about 7 or 8 people with bikes, and there were people who rode for many years. and I had my bike for maybe 3 weeks. I never rode a motorcycle in my life, and I had to go from Houston to Columbus in it was one day. Wait, I don't even remember. Yeah, I think it was one day. I had to do like 800 miles or 700 miles or something
Yeah,
like
it's a
that.
long ride. Yeah.
So if it's anything under 750 miles, the tour takes one day to get there with the trucks, and
Hmm.
I have to get there before the trucks. So if it's over 750 or something, then it's 2 days.
So just tell, people are going to ask, what do you tell us what you do? Because I know I don't know if I talked about it or not, but say what you do.
I'm a head chef on a private yacht in South Florida, in
Okay,
Dania Beach.
so when you were with Cirque du Soleil, you were the company chef basically?
Yeah, I was head chef on tour
That's kind of
for,
cool.
for 5 years. Yeah.
How did you
That's really
guys?
cool.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. You told me that the other night, and I thought about it. Did you have like a mobile kitchen that you brought with you guys, or did you rent space someplace to cook food? How did that work?
Well, the kitchen setup is in back of, this is like a touring show, so it's a tent show. It's a
Hmm.
giant tent. Then there's an artistic tent where all the artists practice, and then in back we have like a small little city with all these mobile trailers. Um, and basically, the kitchen is 5 containers that are the size of a massive truck. So they just kind of drop them off on stilts, and they open up into a full kitchen. One of the trailers is the entire hotline, so it's all the plumbing, the gas, and the ovens, stove, all the heavy equipment. And then you have another one which is attached to it, and that would be where the fridges are, the walk-in fridge, the walk-in freezer, the office. So basically, we put together a bunch of trucks, and we have a huge dining room, service area, and we have the kitchen, and then storage, and then we pack that all up each time. So
Oh, that's a lot.
it's a
That is
lot.
a lot. Yeah.
We
Wow.
had the biggest show on tour.
That's cool. So you had the bike, the Honda. What attracted you towards after you got back into the country? I know you told me you worked out of the country for a while. You got back. What attracted you to the type of bike, like the Cafe Racer bike? What did you like about it? That
Um, that's a good question. I guess I was on the Cruiser, and it was nice. The Honda, the Shadow's a good bike. I mean, it's really a workhorse. You can really do anything with it, and it was comfortable for those long rides. But when I rode it, it was delivered to Central Florida, and then I had to go to Orlando and pick it up and write it down. And when I was in the city, I was thinking, this is a little bit cumbersome for the city. It's a little less comfortable than I remember it, only because comfort-wise it's fine, but moving around the city, tight spaces, it's not the most comfortable thing in the world when you have to do a lot of turning and a lot of just maneuvering. And I was taking a look at a lot of cafe racers because they were really coming into style. They were becoming very popular, and I just thought for my build and for what I need to do with a bike, and it's compact and cute and it's vintage, and it just kind of attracted me. So I ended up buying well, first I bought the CB,
hmm.
and then I bought the V7 Racer, which is a gorgeous bike. Love that bike. And I was going to get a Thruxton. It was a toss-up between the Thruxton and the V7, and um, I finally got the V7 because it's so pretty.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
not kidding.
As an owner of a Bonneville, I can say that the V7 definitely seems to have more character.
Yeah, it's just I think it's one of the best looking bikes made, honestly. With wire wheels and just everything about it, the leather strap
Hmm.
on the tank. It's just such a cool bike. The suede seat. Um, it'd be, they came out. I don't know if you've seen this or not, Amira, but they came out with like a full fairing kit for it.
Yeah,
I
I did
haven't
see
seen
that.
any on bikes here in the U.S. though yet, and I don't know if that you can actually order that.
You can.
Can
They're pretty expensive though.
it's like
They're
1100 bucks, right?
the one I saw was like 1,600 pounds, so I would say it's about $2,100.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's
That's pretty
Gorgeous,
penny.
gorgeous, gorgeous fairing. Really nice.
yeah, that's crazy though. That's like to buy another bike.
Right.
Yeah, wow. I thought it was like 1,000. That's a lot more. No, it's
Maybe
cool
there's
though. They
another one.
look really neat.
Yeah, it's a fun bike. It's really like a little Cadillac. I mean, I can ride that bike for. I rode to Daytona and back on the same day for the festival last year. I think you mentioned it.
Biketoberfest, or was it
Yeah, yeah, Oktoberfest. That's it.
Biketoberfest? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and it
that's a
wasn't.
good 3.5 hours from Hollywood, right?
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was over 3 hours, and I did it just in one shot. I mean, except for gassing up, but
right.
it didn't break my back. It didn't. I was very comfortable. I kind of lay on the tank
Mm-hmm.
for about an hour and a half. I just kind of, you know, just lay on the tank.
Right.
And it's really very comfortable bike. The seat is amazing. And they also have a two-up seat that you can get. You can switch that. If you noticed when I covered it with the bag, I removed the entire seat. It just lifts right off.
Right.
So you can switch that over to a two-up for two people.
So this was something interesting that I saw that she had, and I didn't know that they had this. Is when it started raining, she went out to her bike and she pulled out a cover. And you said that they give that to you with the bike, right?
Yeah, the cover is inside the toolkit area,
Mm-hmm.
and it's kind of like K-way material,
Mm-hmm.
and it's wrapped up, rolled up, and wrapped into a little bag, and you just unfurl it, and it's attached to the inside, so it never kind of flies away.
Hmm.
Just cover it up.
So the Le Mans, the 10A that I have, it came with two seats from the factory. It came with a black vinyl seat, and then it came with a brown suede seat as well. But that's, I don't know if they ever originally had a cover for that. If I think it's going to rain, I'll take the suede seat off and put the vinyl seat on. But it's kind of a little bit of a project because there's a where your seat has that, it's one giant piece and it has that integrated tail section in it. On the Le Mans, that little bump stop tail section actually is screwed into the seat. So when you take that piece off, there's the double seat underneath it. So to change out the seats, if you're going to use that bump stop, you have to take that piece off, and then there's a leather piece or a vinyl piece on the back of the bump stop that has to be unscrewed. Then you put the other one on. So it's a little bit of a, maybe it takes 15 or 20 minutes to swap them out. But the original color, and the next time you see the bike, I'll probably have the suede seat on there. The original color was like a dark chocolate brown, and it faded over time, and so now it's almost like a buckskin, like really tan. But I'm going to try to have it recovered to give it to the original color. It looks kind of neat. But yeah, I like the idea of having. If I had a plastic cover like that, I would probably keep that seat on the bike more. Because like today, it sat out in the rain a couple times at where we were at today.
Yeah, the problem with that material, though, it's not waterproof. It's water resistant.
Hmm.
It's like it's really like a K-way windbreaker.
Hmm.
And I don't understand. That's one thing I didn't really understand why they didn't make it just pure waterproof, like my jacket, which is like rubber, basically. Very thin rubber. But if there's enough rain, it seeps through. And it's
It's an
unfortunate.
Italian thing. Who knows why they did that?
Yeah. I mean, it's good for light rain, but it's like wearing a windbreaker in the rain.
Right.
After a certain amount of time, your arms are gonna be soaking wet.
So obviously you're really happy with that bike.
Yes, I love the
Yeah.
bike. It's really something. It was a great idea to get that bike. Just the comfort, the style is unreal. You know how everything is. It's all the red, white, and black color scheme, and I don't know if you saw. I painted the wheels. I painted the lettering on the wheels. Did
No, I
this?
didn't notice that.
Yeah, I have the Pirelli,
Hmm.
and I paint them white. The letters white with a red outline.
On the tires, right?
Right, just
Yeah.
the lettering on the tires, and it matches the bike, and it looks super cool.
And you kind of had a pretty cool style going on too. Gasolina boots and the old bomber jacket. It was you look you looked the part.
Yeah, it's all in the costume. We all have to fit in somehow. So
Right.
when I was a kid, I had a
Yeah,
mohawk.
I've been really eyeballing those Gasolina boots.
They're great, but
Uh,
they're made to measure, so
Yeah.
they're a little bit. They go wide a little. They go big a little bit, but it's good. I guess you can wear thick socks, and you can put in like one of those cushions inside the boot because they're solid, heavy duty leather. they're not very forgiving. And the first 4 or 5 times you really have to, your feet really start to hurt because the leather's very, very hard. But they're great boots.
And you said that they're for the most part they keep you pretty dry, even though they're not advertised as being waterproof. They were pretty decent, right?
Yeah, I did 50 miles each way from West Palm Beach to Hollywood, and it was raining the entire way both ways, and there was no seepage into the seam or anything, so they're very good.
We've talked about them on the show before, and when I was at Barber last year, I went to their booth and kind of looked. They had a bunch of really neat styles, or they actually had some custom colors, like they had some women's boots that were dyed red. But I don't know, we just never really got around to either one of us trying them.
Yeah, they're nice. I think they're a good product. You know, they're handmade, and they're not unbelievably expensive. They're a bit of an investment, but if you ride a lot, then I think they're totally worth it.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, they're about the same price as a mid-range touring boot. I mean, you know, in the $250 range.
Yeah.
It was like $325 or something after.
Oh, really?
Something like that.
Okay.
Maybe, shipping. I'm not sure.
Yeah, she had a really cool jacket on too, with a bunch of vintage patches and stuff on there. That was pretty neat. But yeah, you're right. You know, it's kind of like, you know, you'll see some people at some of these events, not necessarily here in South Florida, but around the country, that show up in the full Cafe Racer regalia, which you're going to see. She's going to be going to Barber, and what you'll see at Barber, which is kind of neat, is that people will try to get as much period clothing as they can. So you might even see people on really older bikes that were before the Cafe Racer movement, and they're wearing like pudding bowl helmets and the old 3/4 length long jackets and stuff like that, which is neat.
Yeah, well, we have a huge vintage rockabilly movement here in South Florida, as you know, and seeing people dressed up in costume as a way of life is normal. And it's pretty cool, you know. Some people get really into it. Their houses are completely vintage. Everything about their houses are all mid-century modern, with period furniture, paintings, the clothes they wear, everything. So it's nice. It's nice to see this kind of. It's not just a retro look. It's a complete lifestyle, and I think the Cafe Racer scene is kind of blending in with that. That's why it's caught on really nicely here as well.
And it's funny too. It's not even that they really care or know about the history of the Cafe Racer movement. That's not really what's important to them. What's important to them is the fact that it's the vintage look, right? They don't care that much about the history of what happened in Northern England with Cafe Racers. It's more about having the vintage motorcycle, and it's not.
Right. Well, that.
Yeah.
There's also. I'm sorry, I had to go outside the boat. That's why you might hear some noise. But yeah, I think also because of the mixing of the overlap of. I don't like using the word hipster because it's just so watered down already. It has there's no meaning left in that word. But
well, if you can explain to us what it meant originally, we would appreciate it, because we like to make fun of hipster all the time. So
well, you shouldn't, because there are a lot of hipsters in the scene. So.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm sitting here. I don't know if you can see me, because
I can see you, hipster.
Okay, so I mean, I'm sitting here with like half a mustache and my Buddy Holly glasses on, so like I totally get it.
But now
you're a hipster, Crash.
It's so wide now. You know, what you can call a hipster. I mean, is there anything that isn't a hipster? That's where it comes down to. It's so watered down that there's a big crossover into the Cafe Racer scene, the original clothing and memorabilia and paraphernalia that was popular in the 40s and 50s and early 60s. That's why it's also really popular, because it suits the modern style of just normal dress,
right,
which is, you know, skinny jeans and neck tattoos, and you know how it is. Well, this is South Florida, so
yeah, I'll never.
And the
a lot
pomp.
of crazy stuff here.
The pompadour.
Right.
The pompadour, yeah, the
Leave
fade,
the pompadour out.
the Hitler Youth haircut, yeah.
Yeah, I'll never be classified as a hipster, that's for sure. Which I'm perfectly fine with that being.
You can dress up for the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride and come out as a hipster just for a day.
I'm gonna be going to the We're both gonna be going to the Distinguished Gentleman's
Oh,
Ride.
great! Yeah, okay. I'm as a woman, I have to try. I'm not going to wear a suit. I mean, that's an insult. I have to find something cool that I can wear on the bike because I'm not going to dress
Right.
up like a dude. That's ridiculous, you know.
What have you thought about? Because I was kind of thinking the same thing.
Bloomers, I don't bloomers.
If you had like a step through, you know, like a Honda step through or something like that would be, you could wear like, you know, you could wear a dress and
Right, right. I mean, I've ridden in a dress. I've ridden oftentimes in, you know, high heels, but I really don't know what I'm going to do because I'm riding from Hollywood to Miami Beach, which is
You're not going to go to Fort Lauderdale first and go and ride from the starting point?
oh yeah, I could do that as well. I didn't even
Yeah,
think about
'cause I
that.
think I think we're all meeting at a place at a bar in Fort Lauderdale off of Oakland by the beach, and then riding down to the Wynwood district and then back up to Fort Lauderdale. I'm almost positive it was the same as it was last year.
Right.
But yeah, I still haven't kind of put together my outfit yet, and I keep leaning towards like a vest pants type thing. You know, my wife got me a cool tie with a bunch of international flags on it that I'm gonna wear,
Oh,
but
that's cute.
yeah, I just don't know. I'm gonna go hit some vintage shops this week and try to find something that's you know kind of appropriate. How about you, Crash? What are you gonna be wearing?
I know exactly what I'm going to wear actually. I've got a I've got a light gray pair of slacks and a matching vest and a white shirt and then like a black tie or something with my Bell 500 custom helmet.
I thought it would have been kind of cool if you would have got some like vintage Navy clothes, but then again, all your Navy clothes look vintage, don't they?
They do.
Right.
They do.
Nothing really changes in the Navy, does it? You got the bell bottoms still, and
In our dress uniform, yeah. And oh dear Lord, I'm not riding in those. Because right now it's the time for the white ones, and I'd like to be able to wear them again one day.
right, right.
And they get dirty so fast.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna find something kind of neat. I'm looking forward to it. I got sick last year and couldn't make the ride after I raised money, but
Yeah, I was getting really bummed out because I signed up and everything, and then at work they're like, "Oh, hey, we're going to Tucson, Arizona for like 2 weeks." And I was like, "Well, what day do we get back?" And the day the return date kept changing. We kept hearing different things, and it was going to be after the ride. And I was like, "Man, this really sucks. I'm not going to be able to go." And then we had a meeting. They're like, "Okay, everybody, we're going to go from the 15th to the 26th." I was like, "Yes, I can go to the ride."
yeah, that's cool. You're going by like C-130 or something, or?
Well, some of the guys left by commercial plane on Thursday to kind of get there and get everything ready and get set up. And then we're taking 3 helicopters, so they're flying out with 7 of us in the helicopters over there, including me. So I'll be flying via helicopter, and then the rest of the detachment is flying in a C-40. They were going to fly in a C-130, but that flight got canceled. So they're flying in a C-40, which is a 737, out there on Monday. So the rest of us are all leaving Monday, just at different times.
So there's no rolling a bike up on the thing, huh?
No.
Right.
But you know who I might see? Somebody I might see while we're out there is Janelle Lynn. She is setting off on her trip around all 50 states while I'm out there, and the first place she's coming to is down in Tucson for like a book signing kind of thing, and I'll be in Tucson, so I'm gonna try to go visit her and say hi.
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah, I gotta contact her when she's in Florida. I told her she's got a place to stay if she wants to stay here. So.
Yeah, I actually, she and I just talked yesterday, and I reminded her that you were out in Florida. So.
Right. I don't know when her schedule. I gotta look at her website. I haven't looked at it in a while, but when she's gonna be here, and I told her, you can put the bike in the garage, and you got a place to stay, and we'll, depending on what her schedule's like, might be able to do something. But yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah. Something else I was gonna tell you too. I was gonna say maybe you had to contact Ron Grace. Maybe Ron would come down and you guys can go for a ride off road or something while you're there. But
yeah, I don't know. I'm going to be on the night shift, and we're only going to be there. We're going to be there for like 11 days, and we have 1 weekend off. So maybe I'll definitely contact people.
Well,
the
I'm
funny
glad
thing
you
is,
back in time for the ride. That's cool.
Yeah, me too. The funny thing is, my wife is actually also going to be in Arizona at the same time, because she's leaving the same day that I leave to go visit her family. Because her mom called her up one day and she's like, "Hey, I got these tickets to this concert." You should come out. And it happens to be the same time that I'm gone, so.
So now, when you do the ride, remember you do have a camera in your phone, and you have an Instagram account.
I have a. What is this? A camera? How does this work? Okay, so I got my phone right here.
Right. It captures people's souls if you point it at them. And
okay, so I open it up, and I go. Oh, there's this thing called camera.
This is painful. It really
Holy crap! You can take pictures with this.
We should only use like box cameras from 1956.
This is amazing.
Right.
Look, everybody, it's my camera into my camera onto my face.
Just please take some pictures while you're out there and doing the ride, so I'm not the only one taking pictures. You know, Amira, that's pretty funny. I've got like some old press cameras in my office. I might just bring one and like hang it around my shoulder, you know?
Yeah. You can use Velcro and mount your cell phone onto the back of it.
Yeah, that'd be pretty funny.
And then make people think that you're taking a picture with
right.
with an old, like, you know, Hasselblad or something, a 6x6, some giant box camera.
That would be cool.
These things are even older than that. These are old speed graphic, you know, really old press cameras from like the 40s. They're kind of neat, but I've got one that doesn't have a lens in the front. There's no lens board on it, and it would probably do exactly what you said. I could probably mount it right back on where the glass was and see if it works. The camera works right through there. But I'm excited about it. It's going to be a lot of fun. I just need to go get a helmet because that, you know, Agostini AGV red, white, and blue helmet I have doesn't look very vintage. So I got to go pick up like a Bell or a Biltwell or something and some goggles, and I'll be good to go.
Yeah, I have that thick fleck, you know, helmet that you saw the other night.
Yeah, that's a Biltwell. It's a nice helmet.
It is nice. It's a bit big because it's a one size fits all. That's the one they make the non-DOT.
Okay.
So it's not 100% snug for sure. But it's cute, and I like it. People can see me with that giant flake. So.
Yeah, I'm just trying to work out the logistics for that day. If the club's going to take a trailer down, because if the club's going to take a trailer and car down, if they're going to bring some of the smaller bikes, I'll wear regular gear for the ride down and then just throw it all in the trailer when we do the ride down to Miami. Because it's none of it's on 95. It's all on like US 1 all the way down. Did you do it last year?
No, I had to work. I was on the boat. We had a trip.
Okay.
No, I couldn't make it.
And you're going to go to Barber too, right?
Yeah, I should. It should work out, but because of what I do for a living, I can always be called in the last minute. You know, maybe between 4, 5, 6, 7 days.
Right.
I feel your pain.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Right.
But I don't complain. You know, but sometimes it does land on really important days that you know, if I want to go to a festival or something out of the state, that becomes difficult because if I buy tickets or a flight or anything, I might have to lose it. So generally I wait for the last minute before I go anywhere.
I have a feeling the guys that eat on your ships eat better than I do, though.
I would agree. Yes.
Man, her Instagram feed made my mouth water. She's got pictures of food on there that she's prepared that I was like, oh my God, this is killing me.
You know, actually, Amira, have you heard of a duo named Era and Spirit, or Ara and Spirit?
No. What show are they on? Do you know?
They're not on. So he is. It's the Spirit is a dog, by the way. But Ara or Era, however you say it, is he was a professional like chef, and he stopped cooking and started riding a sidecar motorcycle with the dog all over the country, and has been living that way for several years now. He lives like he camps in like National Forest Service land and stuff like that, and he has a place in Texas that's kind of like a permanent home base. That's basically like a shipping container that he's outfitted to live very simply in. But he was a chef in Miami, which is
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I've only been here for 4 years. When you said a duo, I automatically thought you were meaning a circ act, an act from Cirque. And I'm like, what show were they on? No, I've only been here. I'm originally from Montreal. I'm Canadian.
I
So
picked up on that.
yeah, my boots. Anyway,
Quebec.
so I don't know much about anything that was happening here before 4 years ago. So, but that idea sounds super cool. I like that whole adventure idea, and bringing the dog along is great. It's a great idea.
I could
Yeah.
very easily spend the next couple of years traveling the country by bike. I really enjoy it a lot. I don't know if
Yeah, I
I'd
was
bring the
thinking.
dog with me, but
I put a link to his stuff in the chat.
Okay, I see that. Okay. Yeah, I was planning on buying some kind of enduro, some kind of bike that I can travel comfortably around the country with, and I was thinking how I can do it with work because I don't work every day on board. Only when the owner is coming on a trip am I called. So sometimes I have long stretches of time where I'm not at work. So I heard that another yachty, I don't know who I heard it from, but another yachty took his bike out and started traveling the United States. And when he'd get called in, he would just put the bike in storage wherever he is, fly back, do the charter, do the job, and then fly back again and continue the trip. So it's doable.
I guess that would work, right? I mean,
Totally.
yeah.
That would be your only expense, would be flying. And you pick times where you know the guests generally don't come. You know, you have a block of a few months where they're almost never here. So I'm looking at the site. That's nice. He has a recipe section.
Yeah. He actually sells like recipe. He's kind of he kind of takes the approach of, just because you're on the road living simply with, not a lot of stuff doesn't mean you can't eat well.
That's true. That's completely true.
And a lot of his recipes don't involve meat, stuff like that, because he takes into account the fact that he doesn't have refrigeration very often.
True.
Amira, you would have been really proud of me from a cooking perspective when I was on my motorcycle trip across the country, because I prepared meals that were a can of chili cracked open in a pot with some Velveeta, wasn't even real Velveeta cheese, but some crap pop can cheese whiz from a 7-Eleven and Fritos on top of it.
Sounds like Frito pie. I don't know.
Yeah, we ate at Overland Expo? We had the chili mac, which didn't even have milk in the macaroni and cheese. It was just the powdered cheese dumped into the chili with macaroni in it.
A couple people were looking at us going, nah, because I was like offering it to everyone, and people were like, nah, I think I'll pass, like that. And Crash and I are like, oh, this is so good.
I ate way too much of that stuff.
Yeah, we were camped in like the motorcycle ghetto in like 30-degree weather at night, and then stupid me, we got up real early one morning. The moon was out and it was like we thought it was daylight, but
yeah,
I was so cold in my tent. Yeah, and I hadn't bought any coffee yet, so I heated up some water. The only thing I had with me was Metamucil, and so I'm thinking, well, at least I'll make like a hot orange drink. Well, when you add Metamucil to hot water, it immediately solidifies into this goo. And I was like, I can't even put this in my mouth. It was just so disgusting.
Disgusting.
We had a really good time. So if you don't know, like the name of our show is Cafe Racer Podcast / ADV Cafe. We have another show that is about adventure bikes too. So both of us have done, we like that kind of genre of motorcycle. You talked about getting some sort of a dual sport, and Crash's Bonneville is kind of set up. He's done a lot of off-road on his, so I've got the Stelvio.
More than it was meant for, I think.
Yeah, a lot more than it was meant for.
Yeah, it's an idea I have just because I had no choice when I was on tour, and I had to do those rides completely geared up, and I couldn't enjoy. I mean, I rode through the most amazing places I've ever seen in my life. I went through the desert. I crossed the Rocky Mountains twice. It was unbelievable for a person who never rode before, and I couldn't really stop. I couldn't even stop and enjoy the sights because I was on a clock and it was very, very strict. And I said, I'm going to do this again, and I'm going to do it the right way, and I'm going to enjoy it and stop the bike and just take the pup tent, and That's it. That's what I want to do. And there's also this, like couch surfing. You know what that is? Where you just it's couchsurfing.com. You can find couches basically all over the world.
What? Really?
Yeah, all over the world.
Oh, I got to check this out. Couchsurfing.com?
Yeah, couch surfing. So people, you can either get a couch or a room sometimes. It's like Airbnb, but it's free. And sometimes if you're going to stay for more than a few days, you could offer to clean the house or cook the food or whatever. So they have a couch surfing site just for bikers, and it's only biker families and bikers who take you in. And it's all over the United States. It's in a number of places in Europe as well, I think. And they tell you where to ride, where to go, how to get there, what the best trails are in the area. So you can couch surf only through biker families, biker couches, basically. A lot of these older couples and young people and anybody who's a bike enthusiast, they invite you into their home, and you can stay for a night or two, and then they'll tell you where to ride close by. And they have all the secret, amazing places where you can ride. And for the bike ones, though, it's something like $15 a night, which is nothing, and it comes with breakfast as well. But the couch surfing is basically free. So it's a super cool idea, and it's a way to travel. And I love camping, so it's not a big deal for me to take a pup tent. I'd be happy with that. Or go to a campground, which I'm cool with too. But this way, if you have bad weather or if you're just too tired, you can contact them even on your travels and tell them, can I stay for 2 nights? And this would be like $30 or $40, and you're with bikers, so you talk bikes, and they give you the heads up on what's going on in the area.
Have you done this now? You've actually done it?
I haven't done it, but I registered a couple of years ago because I was thinking of traveling through Europe.
Right.
Just for the fun of it, before I got the yachting job. And I looked it up. There are, these gold members who have had 1,000 people in their house over the last decade. They're basically considered, the grand poobahs of couch surfing. And some are in very expensive cities like Paris, London, New York, San Francisco. They're all over the States, all over the world. You can go to, you can go to India. You can go to any big, beautiful city in Europe, and you read the reviews. And you could see some people say, yeah, this guy's a bit pervy. Or
great.
Or this couple is a little they're a little bit swingy and weird, and you can't take down the review. I mean, it's there.
This is like going down the toilet really quick now.
No.
I came back and right at the right point in this conversation. This is great.
Look at the bike.
The guy tried to get in my tent with me when I was camped in his yard.
Yeah. So yeah, everybody, welcome to the show. My kid who woke up crying just a minute ago.
What's his name?
That's funny.
His name is Gareth.
Hi, Gareth. What's up? Hey.
Check out the hairdo on Gareth. Nice.
Yeah.
He's waking up right now.
Hey, buddy.
Anyway, so couch surfing on a motorcycle, huh?
I gotta check this out. Yeah, I'm looking at the website right now, and
that's regular. That's the regular couch surfing site, but then there's couch surfing just for bikers. Where
how do you find that?
Let me find it. I'll look online. One moment. So that's very interesting. It's a little more organized in the sense that it comes with a meal, the one with the bikers, and it costs money.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get the inside scoop of the area and where you can go ride.
But I see like they've got. Are you willing to host?
Right.
Right. Okay.
And then you can become a member and not host, but you can say when somebody's in town, they can give me a call and I can show them around town, but nobody can stay at my house.
Gotcha.
So you have to do some kind of. You can't just say I'm just going. You can, but it's not polite, to say I'm just going to couch surf and nobody's going to get anything from me,
Right.
I'll meet you for coffee and tell you about the city. But the one for the motorcycles.
This is really a cool revelation. I didn't know something
Yeah.
like this existed.
Nor did I.
Yeah, it's been around for a very long time. It's really established. There are a few million people on that site, and people have traveled the entire world for free because of that site. And they book ahead of time. They say, I'm going to be at your place for 4 days, and I'll cook you dinner twice or something. And you don't even have to do that. And sometimes you get a room, not even a couch. You can get a whole room.
I mean, it might, like when I was on my trip, it would have been cool just to have a place to put my tent.
Right.
Yeah. I ended up spending time in hotels because like there wasn't, I couldn't find, or I didn't spend enough time looking for like the local campground. Now we have a friend who's he owns Kinder Rider, and they were like camping just on the side of the road. When we made this trip out to Arizona earlier in the year for the Overland Expo, and it was people from all over the United States. That was an event you would have really dug because of your love of traveling and camping and everything. There was so much stuff there that was camping related for traveling, and especially as a chef too, because there was some really neat stuff that Crash and I saw for like outdoor cooking that was kind of neat. But when those guys, they rode from North Carolina out to Arizona, and I know in a couple of spots they just pulled off on the side of the road and found like a grassy area and set up their tents. I don't know if I'd be doing that. Just, I don't know.
Yeah, once I had to fall asleep under a tree in like a busy gas station area because someone at the circus told me, oh, you got to try these 5-hour energy things, and I never took them before.
Right.
And I was fine with coffee on my ride.
Right.
He said, no, you really got to try this, and it destroyed the whole ride. It was awful.
Really?
Yeah, I had to keep taking them.
I've never used one of those. I have no idea what it's like.
I use them all the time.
Made my skin crawl. It was awful, and then you crash. You start crashing in your brain, and I had to stop the bike. I was falling asleep. I said, I'm not going to take another one of these. And I just went under a tree at a gas station, a big truck stop, and I fell asleep on the floor under a tree. It was awful.
Yeah, coffee doesn't do anything for me. So the 5-hour energy, so if I'm like really exhausted and can't keep my eyes open driving, I'll down one of those and I'll be perfectly fine. And then when it wears off, I'm fine too.
Huh.
It's not
It
good.
sounds, your experience, Amira, sounds kind of like my experience with certain like pre-workout energy supplements. I've definitely, like, when you first start taking them, your skin feels like it's tingly and
Right.
your hair's itchy, like you can feel every hair follicle. And then for me, because I would take them for a while, and then I would stop. I would have a hiatus where I couldn't go to the gym or whatever, and then so it would stop feeling all weird, and then I'd take a break for a couple weeks and come back. And the first time I drank one of those pre-workouts, it was the same way.
I used to get that with No-Dose, though. No-Dose would do that to me for some reason, but the 5-hour energy doesn't really seem to have any bad effects at all.
I don't know if it was the one. I'm trying to remember the exact name. Maybe it was 5-hour energy. Maybe it was just one of those truck stop, 7-Eleven little energy bottles. It could have been that. It could have been something else. Maybe there's something else in it. But even Red Bull. I tried Red Bull once, and I'm like, wow, this stuff is horrid. My skin was crawling. I was all jittery.
It's better with vodka in it.
Yeah, I like Red Bull and vodka, actually.
I did it at work. I remember at work before, back in the day when I worked kitchens and restaurants, the guys they would have like no stamina after a certain amount of time, and they would chug this stuff. And me,
Yeah.
I'm so hyperactive that, there's no reason for me to drink it. And it was the Grand Prix in Montreal, and we were working maybe a 16-hour day. It was a long day, and we were downtown Montreal cooking, and the owner comes in with, a couple of cases of Red Bull and ready for the crew, And I said, okay, let me try one finally. And it was just, I could feel it right away. Your son looks amazed. He's just amazed.
Well, he can see himself, and like he's just gotten to the point where he's like realizing that when he raises his hand, it comes up on the screen, and he's like, "Oh my goodness, what's going on?"
Yeah, he's like, that's pretty cool. I'm checking myself out here.
Yeah.
This feeling will last forever. I'm going to be this curious forever.
Yeah. He keeps sniffing me. It's weird. Like I keep hearing every couple of seconds.
Maybe it's a
But,
bonding experience.
Maybe. But I always hated Red Bull. Now that we're on the energy drink topic, I hated Red Bull, and I would only ever drink it. I don't drink alcohol anymore, but when I used to, I would drink it with, as Red Bull and vodka or a Jaeger bomb or whatever. But there's one of the Monster energy drinks. It's the white can. It's their Monster Zero Ultra.
Yeah.
It tastes like what's that? There's that diet fruit soda. It's like old and nobody really ever drinks it. But anyway,
Fanta?
not Fanta. It's another.
Oh, the diet one?
I know the one you're talking about. I
The
just
one in the light blue. Oh, Tab?
No, I can't. Oh, this is gonna drive me nuts. Fresca. Yes, thank you. So, Monster Zero Ultra tastes like a non-diet version of Fresca to me, and I think it tastes incredibly good. Except that then I'm all amped up and I'm crazy.
Yeah, I like all the Monster like coffee products that they have, like the Russian one and the Irish one and all that crap, but they've got like a ton of calories in them. They're really not good for you at all. Not to mention all the other stuff, the taurine, that bull piss or whatever it is that's in there.
Yeah.
Right.
I can't go near that stuff. You guys your dispositions are much stronger than mine. I'm just hypersensitive to all that stuff for some reason. I don't know what it is.
I have a friend who's super sensitive to any kind of medication. I mean, every single thing just is 10 times more powerful for him than anybody else. So.
Yeah, I think I just abused myself for the last 50 years, so it's not. I'm just used to it. Plus, I don't think being a fireman for 30 years helped either, because we just put a lot of stupid stuff in our bodies too.
Yeah, sailors are the same way.
Yeah.
Is that a fireman thing, or is it just because you guys were bananas?
No, I think, part of it, like you train yourself, first of all, to eat really fast, which is really bad for you. So our call volume was so bad where I worked that when you had a meal in front of you, you just shoveled it down to try to get it before the next call came in. And that's not good. And then, not to mention the fact that the meals, and I know what Chris experiences in the Navy, the meals not being great, but there's a menu, there's a meal that's planned. So it was funny, a buddy of mine used to write, we had a firefighters magazine, and he did these cartoons for him, and there was one like 3-panel or 4-panel cartoon that he had that showed the firehouse and a bunch of little blurbs popping off of it, and guys were like, what do you want for lunch? I can't eat fish, or I'm allergic to this, or I can't have any fat in mine. And the next scene, it shows him at the phone, like putting in a takeout order, and the third scene, it had like the Acme gruel truck backed up to the window, dumping a load of gruel in the station. And that's really what it was like. That you would get sometimes a guy that cooked that would have a great meal, that you'd have 2 meals during the day that were really good. And other times it was just pure junk. And I can remember one time we went through this exercise of everyone fighting about what they were going to have for lunch and dinner. And, and guys would be like, well, I'm out. I'm not putting in. And that would kind of like limit what you could spend at the store then. And now you got to feed, anywhere between 5 and 12 guys with limited money because somebody decides that they're not going to eat. So this fighting was going on in the morning. And I said, you know what? Fine. I'll take care of lunch. My crew's going to go shopping. I took every dime that we had and bought fish sticks. That's all I bought. I came back to the station, and we cooked like this entire giant thing of fish sticks. And I said, there, I hope you guys are happy now. That's what you're having for lunch and dinner is fish sticks.
I actually love fish sticks because I wasn't allowed to eat them growing up. So as soon as I left home, I just became a junk food addict for about 5 years. All the things I was never allowed to eat, SpaghettiOs, Oreos, just, I was the kid who went to school with trail mix. That poor kid?
Yeah.
That poor kid was me. I would watch people eating, Chips Ahoy, and nobody's going to trade me. Nobody's going to trade me for raisins.
Right. I was the same. I had a bag of carrots in elementary school. My friend next to me is having like Twinkies and Reese's peanut butter cups.
Exactly.
Like, how do I get that?
Yeah. A friend. So my wife and I are still finishing up the show How I Met Your Mother because we started watching it a long time ago, and there's an episode where you find out that Ted has been told that he was allergic to bacon, and apparently his mom had been telling him that just so that he would eat better, so he wouldn't. And then so he eats bacon for the first time in his entire life, and it's just one of those scenes where, like, he eats it and you see like the light shining down from heaven on his face, and he's like, "I have seen the face of God."
We had this conversation the other night, didn't we, Amira, about bacon?
Did we?
Yeah, we were talking about it at the table, and I said I would eat a baby
Oh,
if it
chocolate,
was wrapped in
chocolate-covered
bacon.
bacon.
He said he'd eat a baby if it was wrapped in bacon.
Yeah, that's what he said. I said,
That's
I
terrible.
think I'm going to get along with this gentleman.
Right. I love bacon. There's nothing better than bacon.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I tasted it for the first time as a teenager, and I saw that ray of light.
Right.
So
Oh, yeah.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Bacon wrapped bacon.
But
Yeah.
but there's a difference between good bacon and bad bacon. I mean, on the ship, all of our bacon is baked, and it's like sitting in its own grease when it's sitting on the line getting served out.
Yeah, that's gross.
And so I'm not really a fan of the liquid bacon covering on top of regular bacon.
So why don't they scoop it off the tray and put it on white bread to soak up all the fat in the hotel pan?
And then serve the white bread to the guys in the brig.
Well, people are going to think that the bacon soaked bread is a really cool type of French toast.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it's finished. Should give them a little, Actually, no, you can't tell cooks anything. Never mind.
Well, to be perfectly honest, every meal. Okay, first of all, my normal meals are not on a ship, so I do the same thing that Steve was talking about. We all sit around bitching about, oh, who's going to eat what, or what we're going to go get food for that day, and then somebody goes and gets something and we eat crap. But so when I'm on the ship, I usually eat a little better than I normally would because there's vegetables and there's protein and whatever. Well, the individual meals, like each dish, is prepared in accordance with a very specific recipe card that, like, deviation from results in, sudden death. So, there's not a lot of the Navy, at least among the enlisted meals, doesn't leave a lot of room for the art of cooking. Mostly it's the mechanics and whatever of
Yeah.
attempting to cook potatoes but not really cooking them all
Right.
the way.
But they could do it. They
Oh
could.
yeah, I mean,
It's a big group. How many people are served there every day on the boat?
it depends on the ship you're on, but I mean, on our largest of ships, it's up to 6,000 people.
So it's an entire factory. I mean,
Oh, absolutely.
very difficult. It's difficult to have consistency, especially with mass cooking. If
Yeah.
a machine that cooks 300 pounds of rice, the layer on top is going to be raw, and 4/5 of it is going to be cooked, and the center bit is going to be mush. It's very difficult with those massive pieces of equipment to properly cook food.
Right. It was funny because in the fire service, there were guys that would bid a station just because they knew who the cook was at that station. Like that might have been a senior driver that bid first, and they're like, oh, so-and-so, got the bid on engine 57, and I'm going there because that guy can cook. And it was important, I was lucky, like, later on in my career when I had my own unit and I could drive around by myself. Like I had told you before, I would go eat Korean food a couple times a week, or Vietnamese food. And the guys were like, oh, you're going to go have cat again, Chief? You're leaving the station to go eat cat? And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go have cat, and I'm going to enjoy it. So
Delicious, tasty cat.
There's probably no strays around that part of town.
Oh, I could tell you stories about that because the community that I worked in had a big island community there as well that were all people that had recently immigrated from a third world country. And this is the God's honest truth. We were on a car accident one night on a residential street where these people had an accident and they hit a dog, and all of a sudden you saw people come out of their house, grab the dog, pick it up, the dead dog, and drag it into the house. And I look over at my partner, I look at the cop, I look at the guy on the street, I'm like, what's that all about? And the guy looked at me and he goes, dinner. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, we make friends with animals. A lot of people in the world don't have the privilege of having pets. Like, animals are not, there's no such thing. Like,
Right.
you raise the chickens, you love the chickens, the kids love the chickens, and then you kill the chickens.
Right.
You know? It's only in the West, really, where pets are, that's a status symbol in the world, is a pet. So,
Well, I got news for you. That happens at my house with the chickens, not with the dogs, but with the chickens. My wife tells me yesterday we have like 10 egg layers, that we get fresh eggs from every day here,
right.
And she's like, well, when they get a little bit older and they stop laying, they're going to be stew chickens. I'm like, I thought they were pets. And she's like, no, there's a cycle of life, and that when they're done laying eggs, they're going to be stew chickens. I'm like, oh, okay. But her and my neighbor, they raised like 22 and slaughtered them, and got a freezer full of fresh chicken out there that
Who had to pluck all that food? Oh my gosh.
my wife and my neighbor, they did. That's when we were out at the Overland Expo, and as a matter of fact, the day that I got back, I rode the motorcycle into the driveway. They were actually doing the vacuum sealing of all these chickens. They were weighing them and vacuum sealing them, but they'd done the slaughtering the day before, plucking them and everything, and yeah, it was a lot of work. They said they weren't going to do that many again. They did. I think they had 25 total, and 3 of them that were hens stayed as egg layers. The rest of them got slaughtered.
Hmm.
But I'm waiting to see when that happens with the dogs too. So
Ugh.
hear that, Ruby?
Talking about firehouses, I do a lot of practice cooking at home because I don't work much. So I do a lot of like high-end, difficult cooking, a lot of technique and etc. So I was on this. I got this amazing cookbook from Thomas Keller, who has the French Laundry in California.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just going through the book, page by page by page, and it's tough. It's a tough book, and but the food is unreal. And I cook food, and I'm not going to leave it in the house because, I'd be the size of a house if I left all that stuff in the house. So I give it away to the neighbors and stuff, and I made a giant. It was just one recipe, but it ended up being maybe 4 dozen chocolate chip cookies through this French bakery, French Bouchon bakery book. And I said, okay, forget it. I just wrapped it up in a big serving plate. And the Hollywood the Hollywood fire department is maybe, I don't know, even less than a half mile away. So I drive up, and it just shows you what Hollywood's all about, I drive up, and I park in the back, and the garage doors are all open, and they kind of start approaching me. With this big thing in my hand, and I start walking into the station, and they're like, yes.
Right.
I said, I have all these cookies for you if you want them. And they're like, oh yeah, sure.
Right.
And then I told them, I go, I'm a professional chef. I saw their kitchen, gorgeous stainless steel, stunning kitchen. I said, that kitchen is unreal. I said, I'm a professional cook if you ever want me to come over and cook for you.
Oh, you just made new friends.
Yeah,
Look,
seriously.
I gave them a card. They never called me. Probably this is probably some crazy chick who has this, this fireman fetish, and we're
No,
not
it was
gonna.
probably their battalion chief said, no, you're not doing that. That was probably what happened. But no, I can tell you right now, if that would have been my firehouse, they would have been calling you every week.
I told them I don't work most of the time. I'm not working, and I can come in like once or twice a week and cook you dinner. And I gave him my card, and he said,
Where were you when I was on shift?
Yeah.
but no, they never called me. Maybe it's some kind of legal thing. Maybe it's an insurance thing. But that
They can get away
kitchen-
with murder. Trust me on this. They don't. Yeah.
Well, they took the cookies, that's for sure.
Yeah. We're allowed to accept. They're really strict in South Florida about ethics. Like we used to be able to. All of our firehouses, when I started in the fire service, the furniture was all donated. Now they don't allow you to do that, and they allow you to take stuff that can be consumed while you're on duty, like food. But we used to have, like during EMS week, all the local hospitals would bring, all these baskets of food and all this stuff, and a lot of the cities were like, no, because they're soliciting you to bring patients there, so you're not allowed to. But during EMS week in all the emergency rooms, there'll be an EMS room in there where the guys will go, like when they're dropping off a patient, they can write a report in there, get something to drink. Usually the hospital will stock like a refrigerator. Well, during EMS week, you should see how they lay out a spread in these rooms for the guys. But yeah, it's kind of, and ethics is really big down here in the professional fire service, and you're not allowed to accept discounts if you go out to eat or if you're buying food or anything like that. But it's always appreciated when somebody drops food off. And certainly, if you would have said, I'm going to come cook you a gourmet meal,
Right.
we would have figured out a reason why you had to be there. Like, yeah, she's actually a professional chef/doctor, and she's going to do a class while she's cooking on cardiology, so we got to have her in the station. They were like, oh, okay.
No, but I told them I do a lot of volunteer work in South Florida, and you guys are walking distance from my house, and it's going to be free, and call me, you know?
Yeah, no.
And yeah, no, I was waiting by the phone for the fireman, and nothing.
Look, if you want to come to Sunrise and cook at Sunrise Station 72, I'll make that happen. So I'm sure the guys there would be more than happy to get a nice. We have some really good cooks in the fire service too. One of the guys I work with is a great Italian chef. He's really, really good. And we have somebody retire, we'll do like a luncheon. Matter of fact, we have one coming up this week that we're cooking for. But yeah, that would be cool. It's always appreciated.
Yeah, when I was standing gate guard duty up in Washington, we were told we couldn't accept anything. Like we weren't allowed. Like if you came up and it's like, hey, I got, do you want me to get you something? Like, because people would come up and ask, hey, do you want me to go get you some food or whatever? And we would like, I can't accept anything. But we, every now and then we would ignore that rule. Like this lady drove up. We were having a change of command on base, and so they had this big spread of food. Well, she's like, hey, I just came from the change of command, and this entire tray of pancit didn't get eaten. Do you want it? And we were like, does a bear crap in the woods?
Right.
Yeah, get that in here.
Yeah, we'll take it.
So.
All right, so listen, I know we're running probably over an hour now, but I wanted to just really quick recap where we're going to be in the next month or two. How about you, Crash? What do you got in the plans? Besides, we know we're going to both be at Distinguished Gentleman's Ride.
Yeah, so I'm going to be in Tucson, Arizona for a week and a half, almost 2 weeks, and then come back, Distinguished Gentleman's Ride, and then Moto Mondays at Cerberus Motorcycles on the 2nd and 4th Monday of the month.
Okay, cool. So people out there in San Diego and the surrounding areas, you want to meet Crash, you want to hang out with us, Moto Monday. I can't attend Barber, unfortunately, because my son's baby shower is going to be that weekend, but I will definitely the weekend after that, for sure, be at the AIM Expo the entire weekend after Distinguished Gentleman's Ride. So AIM Expo in Orlando, we talk about that a lot. It's probably one of the largest motorcycle consumer shows now in the U.S., especially the only one in the South Florida area or the Florida area. And hopefully we're going to have the U.S. President of Operations for the Ace Cafe on the show coming up to talk about some special things that are going to be going on at AIM in regards to Ace Cafe. And for those that you haven't heard, Ace Cafe USA is opening their first location in Orlando. So that'll be cool. They're going to have a section at Barber. So, Amira, when you're at Barber, you're going to be hanging out with the Old Soul Youngblood guys, right?
Yeah, if I make it there, if everything goes right, I should be around that area for sure.
So Vintage Iron Club of Palm Beach will also have a booth in the Ace Cafe area, along with a lot of our friends, Dime City Cycle and Loaded Gun Customs, and a lot of other people will be there. So, and hopefully Sasha, our friend Sasha Valentine with Cafe Racer Triple X, will be there as well. And then AIM is the weekend after that. There's also the first weekend in October is Overland Expo East, which unfortunately neither Crash or I can attend, but our friend Michael Kaiser will be there again. If there's a way I could pull off going to that, I'm going to try to go, but I doubt I'm going to be able to. If I do, it's going to be a turn and burn for a couple days. And then we'll see after that, but there's Vintage Iron Club's having a bike night now the second Thursday of every month in West Palm Beach on Clematis Street near Longboards. So that's where I met Amira, and it was raining, but it's still a lot of fun, and I'll be there again next month. Anything else?
I can't think of anything. Amira, it was great having you on the show.
Well, thanks a lot. It was a lot.
Hang out with us for a few minutes, Amira, after we go off the air, and we'll just chat.
Sure.
Okay, cool.
Absolutely.
So anything else? If not, once again.
Yeah, I just want a real quick shout out to those of you that are sponsoring us over at Patreon.com. There's a handful of you guys, and we really appreciate it. As the Patreon fund gets a little bigger, we are getting closer and closer to actually being able to put out those rewards that we have promised you. So those are coming, I promise. We didn't forget.
Check us out. We're on Instagram at Cafe Racer Podcast, Facebook at Cafe Racer Podcast, and on Twitter at Cafe Racer Pod. Check out the Vintage Iron Club on Instagram. You can see that cool BMW by Santiago Choppers that's going to be auctioned off, and there'll be information. I'll post a link in the show notes on where you can get raffle tickets for that as well. And they'll be pulling that ticket on the festival in February in downtown West Palm Beach. Other than that, thanks again for everybody who listens and supports us and donates. Anything else?
I'm good. Get out and ride.
Get out and ride. See you guys. And that took forever. All right.